This is a special day. Dr. Harry Cohen is joining us today, and he has created this narrative in the world about leadership that isn't in most of the leadership manuals. He's a psychologist, longtime executive coach. I know some of the people who've taken advantage of that coaching. He translates the heliotropic effect, the tendency of living organisms to turn toward the sun, into human terms. And that's why he wrote this book, which is now one of my favorites, I gave it to my entire coaching circle, Harry, for Christmas. And
Thank you.
yeah, and it's so important. So I want the world to know what inspired you to write this book.
Thank you, first of all, for allowing me to be on your podcast, for the work that you do. And let's see if we can help some people who are listening. What inspired me to write this book is I did this TED Talk 15 years ago, Heliotropic Leadership. And I ended the talk with leave people with an afterglow, not an aftertaste.
Yeah.
Be the sun, not the salt, as a description of the entire message. So I ended the talk in 2015, and then took me 2 years to write what I wanted to be the last book I ever write, and something that would stand the test of time, be something my kids and or grandkids and the world could then be benefited by. 30 one-page reminders to be your best self more often, and sort of the collection of my life's wisdoms that I've learned from other people and my own journey, so that I wouldn't have to write another book. I got it all. Is there anything else I want to say? I don't think so. So that was the purpose of the book. So I wrote that. It was published in 2018. Now, the rest of my life is spent trying to articulate more what it means to be the sun and not the salt for myself and everybody else.
Well, this is good for me to know. So just because you wrote the book doesn't mean that you've always been a heliotropic human, right?
Well, it's my life's mission to be that. In other words, my
Uh,
life's work in the study of what is it about enlightened and happy and successful and fulfilled people? What is it about them? And that's my life's work in terms of coaching people, but also for my own life. I want to be fulfilled and successful and happy and enlightened. I want to be wise. I want to do this life. We get one chance. I want to do it really, really well. So my life's work is to do this work, which is to try my best to be what I've discovered is, oh, that's what it means to be heliotropic. When you read about the ancients or the most cutting edge research will show you, what is it about happy people, successful people, fulfilled people, wise people? What is it about them? It turns out they are heliotropic. They embody the qualities that Aristotle wrote about, or that Viktor Frankl wrote about,
yeah.
or that the great minds of today write about. And so that that purpose is make it simple, make it easy, make it doable, and make it accessible so that more people, including myself, can lean into being heliotropic, to being uplifting and kind to other people, a tiny bit more than we already are. The cool part about this for me is that we already are this great when we're our best. So all we got to do is do it more. And I was giving a lecture yesterday to a bunch of young people at a university, and they said, well, how has this helped you? And it was a great question, because it is the question. If it's so great, what's it done for you? And the
Yeah.
answer is, it makes me more happy. My
Yeah.
relationships are more fulfilled. I don't get into gristy little grimy little arguments with myself or others as much, or
Right.
hardly at all. So it's like secret to life. A village discovers a wheel, they should tell somebody else. Like, this is brilliant.
Well, and it's so simple. It
Yeah,
has kind of the energy, the vibes of the Four Agreements.
totally.
Simple.
It's the four agreements. Now keep in mind, I can't remember the four agreements other than don't take anything personally. I mean, that's one that I
That's number
remember.
2. Yeah.
Okay, so give me the other three just so I can be reminded of
Okay.
them.
I just reviewed it. Let's see if I can if
Oh,
I
be
can get this
impeccable
right.
with your word.
Be impeccable with your word is number 1, and it's
Yeah.
kind of intrinsic to the others. Don't take things personally. Um, oh my goodness. I was just reviewing this and it's not written right in front of me. So of course I'm going to blank on it. Um, it'll come. But when I was reading, just running through the chapter outlines of your 30 things,
Yeah.
it captures a lot of that. Don't make assumptions was one.
Beautiful. That's another one. Beautiful. It's great. And by the way, I can't remember the four agreements. I read the four agreements that goes into this book, but I can remember be the sun, not the salt. That's the only thing I need to, if
Well,
I could just remember that.
well, and that's the beautiful thing about how simple you made it. I love that you have 30 things. I could make this a daily devotional if I wanted to.
Okay, so we launched a podcast, Be the Sun, Not the Salt. We did 10 episodes, and eighth the eighth episode was on January 1. Kathy White, she's a brigadier general, and what she does with her team, which I learned, is she does, do you know what day it is? What? It's the chapter title. So today's the 19th. You know what, 19th? I wrote the book. I don't know what chapter 19 is, but this morning I was talking about this. Chapter 19 is make your
Make
motive
your motive
clear and
clear.
clean. So today, just think about, what is my motive? Is it clear and is it clean? And that's today's affirmation. Remember, so my motive for this podcast is to be as clear and as uplifting and as helpful as possible. Is it clean? Yes. So I want to be explicit about that. I want to be as good for you and your listeners as I possibly can be. That is my motive. So using this as a daily affirmation, 30, you can start over on, the first day of the month. Well, what about months that are 31? Okay, whatever,
Repeat one.
exactly.
All right.
I mean, like chapter 1 is do all the good you can.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, can we do that? Yes. Can I help out a little old lady? Yes. Can I do the
That's the fourth
dishes?
agreement. Do the best you can.
Oh, is that it? Phew, I
Uh-huh.
love that. I
Mhm.
love that. So, do the best you can is another one. I don't have it as a separate chapter, but I have the do the next right thing as a
Yeah.
separate
Which
chapter.
and that's what prompted me to think about the four agreements because the next right thing, there are multiple right answers, right?
Totally. Totally.
There's so many right answers. We don't have to sit and stew over what the one right answer is. Just do the next right thing and it will come together. And the thing I love about do the best you can is I'll make mistakes. I think even after writing this book, you might make a mistake.
I'm gonna. And by the way, this great author, I hope to get him on a podcast, Jonathan Haidt. He wrote The Happiness Hypothesis and
What?
The Righteous Mind. He's phenomenal. He's an NYU professor. I had the great fortune of being on a Zoom with him, and I gave him the book, and I asked him, "Can you give me some juice that I can use?" And he goes, "Well, I'll just summarize the whole thing, which is be quick to um, forgive, be slow to judge and quick to forgive."
Yeah.
In other words, when you screw up, which you will, forgive yourself and forgive others. I
Right.
mean, beautiful, because then you can just go, okay, no big deal, Ferris wheel.
Well, and that reminds me that most of the time that I am not quick to forgive others, it's because when I diagnose this, it's because I'm not forgiving myself.
Totally.
I hold myself to this really high standard
I know.
that's impossible, really.
I know. And so we get to practice. The beauty of this is we get to practice it moment to moment, and then we get another swing at it. We get another,
Yeah.
oh, good, I get to do it again. Oh, I get to do it again. Oh, I did some good. Good, do it again. And the beauty is it's never ending. And the more we do it, the easier it gets, the less complicated it gets. And you
Right.
can keep thinking of new ways, discovering like it's like a brand new practice. Oh my God, this is so easy. I thought of one just recently, which I've been using, and hopefully it'll stick. Hold the door and or hold your tongue.
Oh,
Isn't that beautiful? Because hold the door is, that's the whole point. If you hold the door for somebody, it's all good. And
yeah.
if you bite your tongue when you're thinking of the snarky thing to say,
Mhm.
you win, right?
Yeah.
And it's a cute little sticky little affirmation, hold the door or hold your tongue. That's be the sun, don't be the salt. And I can
Right.
do that. I
Yeah.
just love it. I just stumbled on it. So I'm looking for more sticky ways that we can practice this for each other and ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and you did talk about using fewer words. You don't have to say everything you're thinking. Boy, I have a bad habit of talking over people because I get so excited and I want to say yes, yes, and I'm learning how to say, no, those words are good enough. I think I can just,
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm biting my tongue for those that we're on video, for those who are just listening, you know, exaggeratingly bite your tongue. You don't have to say everything you think, and less words is more. And by the way, it took me 2 years to write this book. It's 30 pages, like why would it take me so long? Because I went over and over and over again and tried to take out words and tried to say it. Wait a minute, am I saying this the way, wait, I don't need that sentence. I already said it. I don't
yeah.
need that second sentence. I already said it. So less is more.
You really inspired me. I just wrote my first book, Crazy as Usual,
Good.
and I already know what I'm going to write next, and I already know what I'm going to write after that because these have been germinating for years. But when I read your book, it really inspired me to wonder, do I need to meet that minimum word count that they say that you have to meet in order to publish a book? Or why don't I publish something small like this with
I want to write a shorter one. I mean, honestly, just look at the cover. You don't have to read the book. Just be the sun, not the salt, and marinate in what that means for you. Period. Full stop.
Okay, I
And
have
that's,
to admit something though.
please.
I like salt.
So
And
salt
there's
is a
another
metaphor. Hold on a
metaphor that's
second.
be the salt of the earth, Yeah.
Salt of the earth is lovely. Salt of the earth is wonderful. Salt as a spice is great. What we're talking about is salting one's roots. So the
Mm,
behavior which we call salt or salty are behaviors which make the plant cringe, the human cringe. So they'll keep it in those terms. So it's not like, well, isn't salt good? Salt is a spice. Salt of the earth is a great quality. We're talking about the metaphor of salt water on the roots of a plant, which will
yeah.
kill the plant, or behavior which makes other people feel bad
Mhm.
or wither. So those are the ways, that's what you think about salt. Well, aren't you being salty? Well, are you making somebody feel like crap? Yes. Are you being playful and cute and cutting? Well, how playful and cute do they experience you? So
Yeah.
that's the important part, Donna, to remember that salt as a spice is lovely, and remember, we're talking about behavior that makes people feel bad. That's what we mean.
Well, and I know that you teach this premise in teams. I know that you work with more than one automotive company and they love you. Um,
I
at least
love
my
them.
friends do.
I
And
love them.
I bet you love
The
them.
love is mutual.
Well, you know that humans, can have the tendency to get snarky
Yes.
or to speak from some,
Yep.
you know, trauma embedded deep down inside and they don't even know why they say something that sounds mean. So tell me how you teach this in a group scenario with a team.
Well, honestly, the most effective way you can teach is to be.
Yeah.
So talking isn't doing, being is doing. My job is to be the sun.
Yes.
Teaching this is by being this, which is expressing, practicing, delivering, making people understand and feel what it's like to be affirmed and appreciated and respected and honored and listened to. So when
Yeah.
I'm deeply listening to someone or honoring them or appreciating them or recognizing them or curiously challenging what I think is something stupid, that's love. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, how do I teach this? Just constantly love. Now, when I say love, that sounds gooey and silly, but it's, well, how do you parent? How do you friend? How do you do therapy? You love people up one side and down the other. With love is a verb. You show how much you care, and there's a million who are like, what are the techniques of showing respect? Well, you respect somebody, you can't technique it. How do you
Right.
how do you how do you how do you teach love? Well, you be love. Now again, it sounds silly, but teaching it is being it, which is evoking it, which is eliciting it. When you hear
Yeah.
something beautiful, you say, that's beautiful, because it is. You underline and underscore and reinforce and call out more of that. So you literally ask people to share examples and stories of what we're talking about. Anybody got a story of somebody who went above and beyond? Let's take it apart. Let's debrief it. What's the lesson to be learned from that story? And then we
Yeah.
stand back and go, damn, let's do some of that, let's stand back and do that some more. Because
Yeah.
if you listen to anybody's story carefully, everything is revealed in it. It's like, look at, he showed respect. He cared enough to ask how the guy was doing. And then he dug a little further. And then he saw that the guy needed help. And then he helped him. And then the guy felt great. And okay, that's beautiful. Let's do that some more. I mean, so teaching it is by reinforcing it. It's calling attention to what somebody does well. If you're teaching foul shots, you don't point out the mistakes. You point out when they make it.
Yeah.
The studies around this are about, if you show people videotapes of their mistakes or their strikes or their spares, they do better when you show them the videos of their strikes and spares, not their misses. That's the
Mm.
principle behind it. You call out the good so
Yeah.
that they can see, oh, that's what it looks like when I do it right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got
Yeah.
this. So it's
Yeah.
not something that they have to learn how to do. They have to learn to do what they already do
Now,
more.
does that mean that we don't speak up when there's an error or a mistake that needs to be taught?
No, a great question. Ooh, Donna, you're so smart. I mean, listen, that's the part of it. Like when someone does something erroneous, a mistake, wrong, anything that is defect, not the way we want to roll, it has to be called out. But it's called out in a way that's not, you dumbass. It's let me seriously look. No, that's actually not the way you do it.
Right.
Let me show you the right way to do it. Not in a dumbass way, but in a dude, I gotta correct you because that's actually you're making a mistake by doing it that way. You won't be successful if you keep your elbow out like that. You need to bring your elbow in. Now it's not unkind. It's like, no, no, no. Let me show you. You got your elbow out. You got to bring it in. Oh, okay. Because when you elbow out, you're gonna nail somebody in the ribs, and
Yeah.
they ain't gonna like it. So to your point on it, you respectfully point out errors, defects, wrong ways of doing, so that people go, got it, thank you. I mean, that's the key. I mean, you got to have the guts, the respect enough to say, no, you're not doing it right. Let me show you how to do it right.
Right.
And I mean, but that's coaching, that's modeling, that's parenting, that's friendship, and it's not so much technique as it is motive. My motive is clear and
Yeah.
clean. I want to help you be better. That's why I'm
Right.
telling you this. I'm not trying to catch you. I'm not a red pen correcting your paper. I want to make your paper. You got something good here. Let me tell you where you're too verbose and you're not making your point is unclear. You know what I mean? You're trying to help people be better so people can feel that. Great coaching is that. Thank you.
Right.
You pointed out how I can be better. You're welcome. That's that's what we're supposed to do. I mean,
Right.
that we, our good teams are, I got your back. Let me tell you where I think you can be better. Because honestly, I think you're not doing as well as you could. And here's
Mm.
why. And
I love the tone that you use.
yeah,
My most recent experience is not the team member that I had to correct. It's a tete-a-tete that I had with my daughter because she was late on a loan payment, and I'm like,
how old
I
is your daughter?
co-wrote this loan, 20,
Okay, beautiful.
and I'm like, uh, you gotta listen. You've got to respond to my messages, honey.
Oh, see, isn't this beautiful? Because a 20-year-old person is not the same as a 10-year-old person. Is not the
Huh?
same as a 20-year-old isn't a 10-year-old, isn't a 30-year-old, isn't a
Mm.
40-year-old. But they're all worthy, as those of us who are parents of people at different ages. It's like, how do I help this person learn, get the message, be taught, be coached, and not feel um, crapped on?
Yeah,
And tone is the kit and the caboodle. It's not the
right.
words. It's, do they feel your love and support and respect at the same time, corrective love? whatever that
Right.
means.
I love you. I want to help you. If you don't pay this, I'm going to take your phone away.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, but that's exactly right. It's not a threat. It's like, dude, you need to do this, otherwise X. And I'm still learning. The beauty for me, I'm a parent of 32-year-old young men,
Ah,
and I want to parent great. And parenting a 32-year-old, man, I can be better at it.
yeah. It's different, isn't it?
Oh my God.
All three of my kids are adults now, and it's so much harder because I want so badly to keep them from harm.
I
And I
know.
realize it's not my role anymore.
Well, it actually still is. Hold on a second.
A little bit.
It's just still your role to keep them from harm, but there's no guarantee that you can, but I don't believe you or I will ever stop wanting to keep them from harm. But how we keep them from harm and what we say to them that goes in that they can metabolize and digest and therefore then use to keep them from harm, we have to continually, and I'm in the same boat. How can I say this in a way that he will hear it and he'll be able to use it and not harm himself? Like, I mean, I could go on and on, but you and I know this, and I now know. I wish I could speak to my parents who are deceased. They never
Uh,
stopped. And when I was in my 40s and 50s, trying to do the same thing, it wasn't harm, but it was a similar sort of, well, I didn't think I was doing stuff so great. And
yeah.
I think that's our job, is to continually try and offer wisdom in whatever form it's able to be metabolized,
Yep.
um, and used. I love
And
that. Keep them from harm.
well, thank you for reminding me. I'm not exonerated from that responsibility, but we have less control. So we have to think of them more like team members,
Yeah,
and it's a little bit tricky. Um, and I was just thinking about your chapter on peeves,
yeah.
because sometimes what causes us to react or overreact is like, okay, we've talked about this before. So how do you tamp that down when you want to be the sun, but you're like boiling and it's right here and it's about to come
I,
out of your mouth?
I love the question, and the answer is in the boil. I
Mm.
literally believe, and this is my work, when I start to feel the boil. Now, if it boils, I'm way past, but if I start to feel just the bubbles at the beginning of the boil,
Bubbles. Uh-huh.
I'm getting irritated. I'm experiencing irritation. That is the signal. Ding, 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 ding. Let the alarm bells go off. Now, how can I respond here, my best self,
Yeah.
knowing that I'm starting to get irritated?
Mhm.
And if I keep getting irritated, ain't nothing good gonna come out of my mouth. It's gonna be, did you not? Have I told you? It's gonna stink is gonna come out. So I
Yeah.
gotta be very careful. That's
Mm.
the work of it. When you say tamp it down, the book, whatever metaphor you got to use to notice, I'm getting pissed. On the continuum,
Mhm.
annoyed, irritated, pissed, angry, fear, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Damn it. He knows I'm picking him up at 5. Why is he, whatever the hell it is.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think that's our work, which is to let ourselves, oh yeah, this is my
Ah,
peeve. Let it go. Be magnificent, Harry. Come on. Be amazing.
be
Come
magnificent.
I mean, let's aspire to be magnificent. Let's not take it personally. Let's use the 4 agreements. Let's be impeccable with our word. Let's try our best. When you start to get pissy, irritated, peeved, which is a verb. I'm
Mhm.
peeved.
Passive
Really?
aggressive.
What? Past. Come on. We're better than that, Donna.
Mhm.
You and I are wise. You and I
Mhm.
have lived a long life. You and I
Mhm.
are great. Let's show these, whomever they are,
Yeah.
that we've attained the highest state. We're
Yep.
great. We're calm, cool, and collected. When Sully, when the plane was going down on the Hudson, I was
Yeah.
just listening to some audio clip of
I love
him.
that story, and the movie was great. It was very well done.
It's a true story. The guy, The guy said, okay, we're going to lose our engines. Let's try and land the plane without killing 155 people. I mean, and he kept his cool and he did it. And
He
then he
did it.
continued to keep his cool and he walked down the aisle of the plane to make sure everybody was out. And then he got out the
And then
plane and then he
Mhm.
called his wife and he called his daughter and he actually called the air traffic control. And they said, can't take your call right now. We've got a plane down in the Hudson. And he said, that's me.
I
But
love that. I have to share this because it's such a timely example. And um, I can't fully explain why, but similar to Sully's landing the plane, I was a few months ago driving 70 miles an hour on the freeway, and a big rock came crashing through my windshield. And I explained this yesterday that it was amazing to me the executive function that just set in, that I was grounded. I had 2 feet on the floor. I had 2 hands on the wheel.
beautiful,
I was, very focused and breathing and listening to this very inspirational book that probably helped. But because I was grounded, I went, huh, I just felt a blast of glass in my face. Huh, there's a big hole in my windshield. I think I'm going to stay the course and get safely off the freeway. I didn't overreact. I didn't crash, which is a miracle, my kids think. And for me, the lesson in that is stay grounded.
love
We
it.
stay grounded and we can respond to almost anything that happens. And it's somewhat supernatural, but it's just how we're built, you know?
Beautiful. So the practice of your life, right up into that moment of the crashed windshield, allowed you to handle that grace under pressure so beautifully. I like to think it was grace and self-effort, that
Mm,
the combination of grace, which you wooed that moment, but
yeah.
your self-effort of your life's work to stay calm, cool, and collected by listening to that book, by practicing your life in the way that you do. In that moment, man, oh man, you pulled that car off the road and lived to be on this podcast. This was yesterday this happened?
No, it's in October.
October, my God.
And yesterday I told the story to a group of people at an event that I hosted. And every time I retell it, it gets better because I keep learning
Yeah,
what really was happening, that amazing executive function. And
yeah,
it's the groundedness
yeah.
that made the difference.
I
And
would I would say that the practice of your life allowed you to be grounded in that moment for the next rock that's coming your way.
there's no guarantee that there won't be another rock tomorrow. I think there's a slightly lower chance that I'll get hit again. But I was on my way to a book launch and I had a box full of books, and that box was just full of shattered glass. And you know what I did?
Gave
Went
the piece
home,
of glass.
I vacuumed all the glass off the books, and I turned around and went to my book launch.
I was going to say you should give the book with a tiny piece of glass along with the book. Keep that. Did you throw out the glass? Probably.
Well, you should have seen the mess. I mean,
I
yeah,
understand.
I threw out the glass. But you're right. Yeah. The glass, if you know safety glass, it turns into sand.
Yeah.
So you can't really, if it were bigger chunks, maybe I would have taped them to the front of the book. But,
Beautiful.
the story for me was I wasn't afraid to get out and drive again.
Hmm. Hmm.
What are the chances of that happening twice in a lifetime?
Very slim.
What are the chances, that I could have had a passenger in the car who was killed? What are the chances that that rock could have come 14 inches
Yeah.
to the right and hit me?
Right.
But I'm here. And Sully lived through that plane crash, and lots of people live through similar incidents on a regular basis. And I think part of the amazement of life is to pause and just say, wow, okay, this life is pretty amazing. And we don't know when our last day is. So let's be impeccable. Let's be extraordinary today.
I love that.
We're about out of time. I could talk to you forever. I love talking to you. I'll never forget the very first time I called you because my friend Gina said, you have to meet Harry. And you answered the phone. how many people answer the phone when it's an unidentified number? And you said, I applaud you for calling because, otherwise we'd be playing phone tag trying to schedule an appointment. I love the way you live your life, and it makes me want to live the same way. What are like 2 or 3 things that you would like to leave this audience with before we wrap?
Keep it simple. Remember, you're already heliotropic. Hold the door or hold your tongue. Just remember, be the sun, not the salt, in whatever way that you already do a little bit more. This is an easy way to live a happy, fulfilled, and successful life. Don't overthink it.
Thank you, Harry. That was
You're welcome.
beautiful. You've been listening to the Crazy as Usual podcast with Donna Carlson and Harry Cohen today. You can catch this on YouTube. You can go to my LinkedIn page for a full download on Harry, and you can also catch it on Instagram. I hope you will come and join us next time on the Crazy as Usual podcast.